So my name is Amina Alavi, and I am the Director of Analytics and Data Science at Doctors Without Borders. And I'm very excited to talk to you guys about how we are completely revolutionizing the way we are raising funds at our organization. By the way, for those of you who just read the title and came here thinking that I'm going to talk about fundraising for startups, you're in the wrong room. I'm going to talk about Doctors Without Borders completely changing the way we raise funds. But trust me on this one, if you stick around for the next 20 minutes, you will be able to whip up Databricks agents within, very quickly, no matter what your use case. All right. So what was our vision? Let's start talking about our vision. Our vision was simple, but it was powerful. We had tons of data, and we wanted to convert our data into dialogues, into donor conversations. Donor conversations, donor relationships are sacred for any humanitarian organizations. So we wanted to use our data for that. But our biggest challenge was, like I think most of you out here, we had really good data, but it wasn't being used to its fullest potential. To complicate things further, we have structured data as well as unstructured data. So unstructured data in the form of CSVs, PDFs, Word documents, you name it, and we have that documentation, good documentation, but we have tons and tons of unstructured data. And don't even get me started on the file names. I mean, I don't know why we do this to ourselves. We have so many different kind of file names, even data scientists. Do we have any data scientists over here? Oh, okay, just a few of you. I mean, how many of you have named your files something underscore v7 underscore final underscore use this only? So yeah, sometimes these file names can be confusing, but all of this data can be used within Databricks. Okay, so that was our challenge. What was our goal? Our goal was to take all of that data and to build an AI assistant that would help our fundraisers communicate with their donors the way they've never communicated before, to understand their donors better. An intelligent AI assistant that would understand our specific donors based on our proprietary data. Not the LLM that we use every day for pretty much everything nowadays. By the way, the other day I asked ChatGPT to tell me a joke, and it came back with, why did AI cross the playground? And then it said, to get to the other slide. I think we can all agree AI has a long way to go in the humor department. So that was our goal. How do we achieve that goal? Now, this is the end-to-end architecture within Databricks. All the different components that we used to get from point A to point Z. And it looks very complicated right now with all the different components, but believe me, all of this end-to-end can be done, I would say, within two days. I mean, definitely an MVP simple version of it, but you can absolutely achieve it. Yesterday, I was in the Databricks hackathon, and I was in a team with 3 other people, and we were able to achieve all of this end-to-end and more within 6 hours. So it's totally doable, and that's how easy Databricks makes it to build out agents, to build out our GenAI apps. All right, now this whole architecture that I showed you looks super complicated. So I'm gonna break it down and make it simple so that all of you understand how easy it is. Let's start off with unstructured data. All of you have unstructured data. By unstructured data, I mean PDFs, CSVs, Word documents. Anyone out there who has unstructured data sitting in their databases? All right, a few hands. So we have many different kind of PDF documents, I would say, mostly PDF documents. So for example, a fundraiser would go and meet up with a donor, and then they write down notes, the conversations they had, what was the outcome, and all of that. All of those notes are basically uploaded into PDF documents. And we have several PDFs, maybe on a single donor, multiplied by all the donors that we have. So we have thousands and thousands of PDF documents on donor meetings. Then we get several communication guidelines from our communications department, which also comes through as sometimes a Word document, sometimes a PDF. Training documentation. Whenever a new employee is hired in our fundraising team, they're given tons of training document. They go through it. Everything is in PDF. But then, I mean, how much of that do they remember 6 months down the line? So all of that is in PDF. So the first thing that we did, and what any of you want to do if you have unstructured data, is to get all of those PDFs into Unity Catalog volumes. Super simple, you can upload them, you can use APIs, whichever one you want, but basically you want to start off by putting all your PDFs into Unity Catalog volumes. Once they're there in your Unity Catalog volumes, you need to take that data, just chunk it up, and put that into the Delta tables. By Delta tables, that means simply the Unity Catalog tables. The reason why we want to chunk them up is because that's how our agent would understand the data much more simply. When we are chunking up the data, for data scientists out here, I would say just pay attention to how you want to chunk it up. For example, if there's a long sentence, you don't want to chunk up the data in the middle. You want to either chunk it up at the end of the sentence, at the end of the paragraph, at the end of a section, so that the LLM can understand the context. So chunking is a little bit important. Okay, so now you have the data in your Delta tables. There's something else that you need to create. You can create it now, or you can create it at some other point before this. Basically, it's called the vector endpoint. A vector endpoint is your entry point into your proprietary data. That's how, when the fundraisers are asking any questions, which is lying in any of your PDF documents, it goes through the vector endpoint, and that's how it gets to your data. We all know that machines do not understand human language. They're not going to understand English, Spanish, French, none of that. So we have to convert the chunked up data that we got from our PDFs into numbers, into vectors. So we need to what is called embedding. We need to just convert everything into numbers. Now I know this looks complicated, but literally it's like, very quickly done. Once you have everything embedded in numbers, the last step is to create a vector index. All of this is done within the Unity catalog. All of this can be done literally with a very simple Python notebook. Or if you don't want to use Python, you can easily actually use the drag and drop, click here, click that feature in Databricks to create all of this. It's very simple. So once you have all of this done, now you want to test your vector index. You want to see how well you can search your PDF documents. So within the Databricks environment, you see this big button on the top that says query your vector index. So you can just click on it, and when you click on it, you get this dialog box. Now this is where you will be able to test out that data. I just want to say one thing. This is a fictitious PDF document that I created for a donor, Albert Einstein, completely fictitious. And so I just tested out my vector endpoint. And the way I did it is that all of this code is pre-generated. All I needed to put in there under query text, Albert Einstein. And once I put it there and tested it out, I see from thousands of documents out there which had tons and tons of information about different donors, it was able to go and pull the data for Albert Einstein. So now we know that our vector index is working. So the most difficult part, which is structured data, is done. We know that it's working. right. Now, unstructured data is a lot more simpler. Data is already in your catalog, in your Unity catalog tables. So I would say the easiest way is to create a simple SQL function. You can use one table, you can use several tables if your data is like all over the place. In our case, we had input fields of, say, donor first name, donor last name, and the output was all the giving history that is connected to that specific donor. So you create the function module within the Unity catalog. And this is the fun part. This is where you get to play in the playground. So within your Databricks environment, you have something called a playground. When you click on it, the first thing that you want to do is you want to select your LLM, your large language model. So in this case, I chose Claude 3.7. By tools, those are any of the functions that you created or any of the vector indexes that you created. You add that to your LLM. You can even compare different LLMs to make sure that if you want to shop around for different LLMs, you can do that. For us, Claude 3.7 was working the best. And in the end, what you need to do when you're happy with that, you click on export, and basically what happens is it generates, you don't even have to write it out, it generates the whole notebook for you, like a Python notebook, and saves it in your Databricks environment. All right, so what is this notebook called the drive? Databricks calls it the driver notebook. So what is this notebook? Completely auto-generated notebook that helps you define and create your agent. So all you need to do is literally like click, 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 run through it. You don't have to change anything. The second thing is for any LLM, any GenAI app that you're creating, any RAG agent that you're creating, you do want to evaluate it. And the best part is that Databricks has been amazing in giving us so many tools for evaluation. So it gives us a very visualized tool to evaluate our agents. What is how well it did in many different areas, and we can go back and fix our data or fix our vector indexes to make sure all of these pass. And in the end, once you're happy with your evaluation, what you want to do is you want to simply register and deploy your agent. That's it. Now you're done with your agent is created. You're able to access your data through your functions, through the vector index, your PDFs, your data in the tables, everything is ready. One thing I would say about the driver notebook is that driver notebooks are, you want to take those notebooks and you want to do what data scientists are best at doing. You want to cut, copy, paste, and then enhance it. This is the plain vanilla version of it, but you can always change up the agent framework, you can add more agents. So you start off with it, and if you want, you can enhance it even further. No need, but you can. All right, so that's not the end of the story. So now you have everything ready, the agent is there, it's working, you can extract your data, but you want a very nice front end for your users. You want to give your users a URL, which kind of looks like ChatGPT, so that they're able to kind of like a chatbot, so that you can, communicate with this agent that you have created. Again, I have to say Databricks has made this super simple by coming up with this thing which is called the Databricks app. If you go into your workspace, you will see a big plus sign right on the top. If you click on it, you will get the option to create a Databricks app. Go in there. Now this saved us maybe, if not weeks, days of work. We didn't have to create the front end at all. This we were able to do in 10 minutes. We just choose the template. So we chose a template chatbot because we had created a chatbot. You want to use, one of the frameworks. I like Gradio and Streamlit. For this purpose, we chose Gradio. And you just, with a click, you deploy your agent, and your AI assistant is ready. All right. So I have 5 minutes left, and I do want to show you the demo. So this, once you deploy the Databricks app, this is exactly what you get. But again, you want to do what, like I said, data scientists are best at doing. Cut, copy, paste, make it better, enhance it. You want to add your company logo. You want to add, whatever description you want to add. So here, as a fundraiser, the fundraiser is going in and saying, I'm going to visit donor Albert Einstein. Please provide some talking points. So a lot of times when the fundraisers are going to meet a donor, they have to do a lot of research. They have to figure out exactly how they're going to ask for donation, how much they're going to ask for, how much, like the details of the donor. Okay. So it comes back with, okay, these are some of the talking points that you can have. Here are his technical interests. His communication style is be prepared for an intellectually rigorous conversation. He appreciates detailed information. So it's going to give you a lot of talking points. And this is just one of the questions that I asked, but a fundraiser can ask any question that they want. The next thing that a lot of times fundraisers want to do is maybe based on the giving history, based on the conversations, donor meeting notes, they want to know how much donation should they ask for. So in this case, it comes back and it says, maybe you should ask for $750K to $1 million based on their. So in the back end, what's happening is that they are going into the function that we created that has all the giving history. And it's also going back to our meeting notes. And it's like, he previously said that he can give us $1 million. All right, so I'm in no mood to have an intellectually rigorous conversation. I'm like, okay, forget it. Let me just write him an email. So please draft an email message for him asking him to donate $1 million. Let me just forward it a little bit. And this is what it comes up with. So this can be your first draft of email. Of course, you don't want to take this email and cut, copy, paste, and send it to the donor. No way. This is just a starting point for everything. This is just a guideline where you start, and then the rest of the work kind of like flows through. All right, yes, this is our fundraiser. Before and after. Very unhappy before, very happy afterwards. The only thing that I'll add over here is that this work is going to make a fundraiser's job so much more efficient, a lot more easier, but it's no way a replacement of the human connection, of the bonds that a human can form with a human. So yeah, definitely it's going to make a fundraiser's job a lot more efficient, but then it frees up their time to do, to connect with the donors, to have meaningful conversations with them. Thank you very much. That's it.